Hello everybody. Good afternoon. Welcome to our installation art tour. My teammates and I are going to present the topic which is called installation art. We're going to talk about what these movements consist of, how it was developed, what its main characteristics are, and finally, we will show you some examples, okay? I think most of you guys already know my team, but just in case, let me introduce them. This is formed by Lina Hernandez, Daniela Garcia, Alondra Sarmiento, Carlos René Gonzalez, and me. Well, now let's review a little bit of an introduction to the topic. Okay, as we have seen through our classes of both this and previous semesters, art is a mode of production and display of artwork rather than a movement or style. We have already seen this by discussing in previous semesters, so we won't delve into it, okay? We already know art can be perceived as something that moves your feelings, whatever the object is. And so far this semester we have been talking about the latest movements that emerge, like the Dada and the pop art movement, which are important because the next movement that we will see today derive from them. Now, anything that is considered art can range from a sculpture carved in marble with the greatest of delicacies to a simple object of daily life, and that will depend almost exclusively on the eyes that look at it. Moreover, art can be displayed from the inside of the most exuberant palace to the freshest of the open-air countryside. In this context, installation art is a broad term applied to a range of art practice that involves the installation or configuration of objects in a space that can range from cluttered to minimal, where the totality of objects and space comprise the artwork. And as you can see in the image, this could be settled in the inside of a building as well as outdoors. Now let's talk about some important facts. Installation art emerged from the early form of the environment around 957 with artists such as Alan Caprow. You can see him in the picture, but it's mostly associated with the period from the 1960s and 1970s to the present. Yet there are many precedents, particularly in early 20th century, and let me say it in French, avant-garde mouvement, such as suprematism, constructivism, Dadaism, surrealism, and futurism. All of them gave rise to the movement we know today. Now, when we talk about installation, we can talk about their principal influences as well. One of them is the artist Marcel Duchamp and his modernist ready-made, such as his controversial urinal called Fontaine, and the American avant-garde Alan Caprow and his 1966 book, Assemble, Environment, and Happening. In addition, another art installation influencer were Kurt Schwitters with Meersbau, L. Lisinski with the Prom Room, this is probably the earliest installation, and Lucio Fontana with the Spatial Environments.
Okay, now I'm going to talk about the definition. Installation art is a relatively new genre of contemporary art, practiced by an increasing number of postmodernist artists, which incorporates a range of 2D and 3D materials to influence the way that we experience or perceive a particular space. These materials can comprise traditional and non-traditional media such as painting, sculpture, ready-mades, found objects, drawing, and text. An installation type can be gallery-based, digital-based, electronic-based, web-based, and the possibilities are limitless and depend entirely upon the artist's concept and aims.
Now, let's talk about the characteristic of installation art. There are six main characteristics. The first one consists of the conceptual use of space. Art installation grew out of artists who are focused on conceptual art, which is art based on ideas rather than the aesthetic qualities of the work. That is why they are more concerned about the presentation of the message rather than the means used to achieve it. Then we have sensory experience. They require to achieve engagement of the viewer by entering into the space of the artwork and interacting with it. The installation allows the spectator to enter, move around, touch, and even smell the medium. It engages all the senses of a human, making them immersed in the artwork completely. Temporality. Installation art is almost always designed for a temporary period, and it is described by its duration rather than the typical measurements of height, length, and width, as happens with painting or sculpture. Site specificity. An art installation is all about the process of placing something in a space, which often implies that it has a direct relationship with that place. There's a reason why they are installed in that specific place. This quality makes installation a truly unique form of art. It goes beyond the installation itself, but as a whole with the place in which it's located. And finally, we have low intrinsic value. The real value here is the artistic effect that they can produce.
Okay, now talking about the differences between installation and sculpture, we have that installation inverts the principles of sculpture, meaning that installation involves the spectator in the space of the artwork. The work often features objects dealing with light, sound, and/or projected imagery, while the sculpture is designed only to be viewed from the outside. It usually focuses on the main subject and the interpretation of the viewer while looking at the sculpture itself. We cannot say that it's the same thing because in an installation, people can get inside the space of the installation.
Well, now I'm gonna tell you about the types of installations. Installation art range from the very simple to the very complex. It can be gallery-based, computer-based, electronic-based, web-based, and the possibilities are limitless. Almost any type of material or media can be utilized, including natural or man-made objects, painting and sculpture, as well as recent media such as film, animation, uh, photography, live performance art, sound, and audio. Some compositions are strictly indoor, while others are public art, constructed in open-air community spaces or projected on public buildings. Some are mute, while others are interactive and require audience participation.
Well, now it's time to talk about famous installation artists. As you can see here, we have 15 artists. They are classified in different categories. However, I only present you 4 of them with a representative example. The Mirror of Judgment by Michelangelo Pistoletto. This installation is formed by sculptural works of the author amidst the winding passageways of a labyrinth, composed of corrugated cardboard. The author describes the exhibition as a winding of untraversable road that leads to the place of revelation, of knowledge. It is also used as a metaphor for discovering and personal journeying. It was showed from July 12 to September 17 in 2011 at the Serpentine Gallery in London, United Kingdom. Spiriti di Madreperla by Rebecca Horn. With the outdoor installation in 2002, she transformed Italy's largest city square, the Piazza del Plebiscito in Naples, into a space encompassed by magnetic energy. Shimmering lights ring of mother of pearl float high above the square, and exactly beneath this, set between the cobblestones, cast iron skulls. Those represent the souls of purgatory. In Neapolitan culture, it is believed that there is a special relationship between the dead and the living, so that's why this kind of representation took place. Here the viewer walks through the installation and becomes part of this sharp energy file in dialogue with the city. Then we have the floating piers by Christo and Jean-Claude. For 16 days, on June 18 through July 3rd, Italy's Lake Iseo was reimagined with square meters of shimmering yellow fabric carried by a modular floating dock system of high-density polyethylene cubes, undulating with the movement of the waves above the surface of the water. Visitors were able to experience the work of art by walking on it. Amazing, isn't it? After the 16-day exhibition, all components were removed and industrially recycled. In the photo over there, it's the author Christo. At that moment, Jean-Claude passed away 7 years ago. That's why he's the only one there. However, there is another picture in which you can see Jean-Claude. The Soulful of Millions of Light Years Away by Yayoi Kusama. It is an example of an infinity mirror room in 2013. It is a room completely covered with mirrors, a dozen of LED lights hung from the ceiling. As the multitude of lights reflect, they accumulate and expand exponentially. This sense of infinity has been with Kusama from the beginning. One amazing fact is that at the Brit Awards ceremony in 2016, the female artist Adele sang her hit When We Were Young with a background of this installation artwork. If you want to watch the performance, you can find it on YouTube.
Moving on to the conclusions, we can say that installations are artistic interventions designed to make us rethink our lives and values because they are more concerned with the presentation of their message than with the means used to achieve it. Viewers can enter into the artwork space and be part of the work by interacting with it. Artists continue to employ and adopt strategies of installation because of its versatility and flexibility as a means of production and display, and its capacity to address the concerns of both the artist and the viewer, ensure that it remains a legitimate and relevant form of contemporary art production. Now we have a broader perspective of what an installation is. We know that it must involve the spectator in a certain way. There are many amazing works of installation. They can challenge our senses and make us feel something we have never felt before. Now we are going to present some of the installations which we found very interesting. First we have this installation which is called The Dinner Party, and it was created by Judy Chicago. It is a monument to women's history and accomplishments. This tribute to women includes individual places for 39 important historical female figures, as well as 999 women's names written in the floor of the installation. This installation is widely regarded as the first epic feminist artwork and functions as a symbolic history of women in civilization. Since 2007, it has been on permanent exhibition in the Elizabeth A. Sackler Center for Feminist Art at the Brooklyn Museum in New York. It is an amazing work of art, and I really like the fact that it was dedicated to female artists such as Emily Dixon, Virginia Woolf, and other incredible women. With this work, they are receiving the recognition they deserve. It amazes me how fascinating this idea was, and it's still making an impact in today's society.
Now I'm going to talk about our installation by Thomas Hirschhorn. Thomas Hirschhorn was born in 1957 in Bern, Switzerland. He used common materials, often seen as garbage, to create his art installation. Originally trained as a graphic designer, Thomas shapes public discourse that relates to political discontent and offers alternative models for thinking and being, believing that every person has an innate understanding of art. Hirschhorn resists exclusionary and elitist aesthetic criteria, for example, quality, in favor of dynamic principles of energy and coexistence.
Falling Garden is an installation created by contemporary Swiss artists Gerda Steiner and Georg Lenzinger. They hung flowers, seeds, and branches in a 15th century church in Venice as a part of the Fifth Venice Biennale. Falling Garden is a world in which visitors lie on the floor, or as the artist called it, the gravestone's bed. It's the best seat in the house, a house of Cascadian flowers. The visitors' thoughts are free to drift, as if the garden thinks for them. This is a collection of botanical tokens from many different places, such as Australia, Switzerland, Sweden, Canada, South Korea, and India. Their work is truly mesmerizing, extravagant and full of fantasy, allegory, and of course beauty. I like this installation a lot because I believe visitors get immersed in a magical reality of dreams. It's a fairy tale fantasy. It brings me joy, inspiration, and calm. I hope you like it.
Now, in order to present you my favorite installation, here it is Love is Calling by Yayoi Kusama. The space drips with soft-sculpted inflatable tentacles that dangle from the ceiling and spring from the floor. As you can see, the tentacles form chain colors and are covered in black dots. The mirrors over there provide the distinct sensation that this magic extends out into infinity. There is also a soundtrack in which the artist, Yayoi Kusama, recites her poem, called Reciting in a Castle of Shed Tears. It is in Japanese. The poem explores themes including life and death, but also the Kusama hopes of spreading love through her art. When I saw this installation, the colors caught my attention and I got really interested. Personally, I didn't expect that it would talk about love. However, when I saw it, I fell in love. Yayoi Kusama is a Japanese contemporary artist who works primarily in sculpture and installation. However, she is also active in painting, performance, film, fashion, poetry, fiction, and other arts.
Okay, now just to finish with this presentation, I'm going to talk about the work of installation art that I liked, okay? This installation was designed for the main center for contemporary art in the United States by local designers Wade Kavana and his collaborator Stephen B. Nguyen. The work is called Hubris et Nemesis, and this name refers to the Greek words. The first one is hubris, which describes arrogance. This can lead to madness, which is represented by the word ate. And then we have a nemesis, which means calm. So the author wanted to say, after the storm comes a calm. Okay? And this installation inspired by the troubled waters in the Main wine, and it is made out of cord and then wooden strips designed to resemble a wave as a reference to the natural environment as the name of the work indicates. This is still available just in case you want to go and see it by yourselves. And well, this has been all for our part. We want to thank you for your attention and we hope you have enjoyed our work. We wish you a very nice and successful week. Okay, and thank you so much.